Welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk number 3.
Number 3.
And I'm your host, Scott Minton, and today with me, my co-host is Mr. Matt Jasnoff. How you doing today, Matt?
I'm fantastic. How are you? Thanks for having me on, Scott.
Hey, glad to have you. So, first of all, with Bourbon Barrel, what we like to do is we like to tell you what we're trying today and kind of give you a little bit of feedback on some of the maybe up-and-coming bourbons that are out there and things to that nature. Today, what we are doing is we are trying a few new Riff picks that Matt brought over. And then we also have the Honey Barrel, which was a Louisville Bourbon Hounds pick recently through Cox's. Evergreen Liquors.
Same thing.
So that gives you the opportunity. We'll be able to talk a little bit more in depth about those picks. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the BTAC collection. Some Pappy Van Winkle stuff, because those are coming out pretty in the next week or two. And then Matt's our cigar/bourbon aficionado. We're going to talk about some pairings there today. So that kind of gives you a rough guesstimate on what we're going to be talking about today. And let's start off with what are we drinking, Matt? Can you tell me a little bit more about these new Riff picks?
Yeah, absolutely. So the other day I was fortunate enough to be invited to go to the New Riff Distillery. There's some local stores around town that are starting to take advantage of their barrel program. Lately, New Riff started not too long ago. They were originally known as producing a bourbon called OKI, and the whole concept behind that was Master Distiller Ken used to own a liquor store, State Liquors, in between Cincinnati and Kentucky. He got tired of that and wanted to start his own distillery, so gathered up enough funds to start it he bought barrels from another local distillery, barreled them, bottled them himself, or he didn't barrel them, but he bottled them, and the label OKI came out. Now, people are familiar with that. They did a 9, 10, 11, and 12-year-old. I think they did an 8 or 9-year-old rye. I don't know off the top of my head. And they basically sold those bottles, made enough money to build that beautiful distillery that we know as New Riff today. His goal was, to get this started, let me age all these barrels, and he wanted to be kind of a mass producer in regards to barrel picks. He knows that that's kind of a bucket list item for everybody. I don't know if you've ever been on one before, but I mean, man, what a surreal experience that is the first time.
I have not. I am working with a charity organization here in Southern Indiana where we're looking right now at getting into doing an Old Forester single barrel pick.
Yeah, man, that'd be great. They do a cool pick there as well. You go into their rick house and there's like a separate kind of floor you get to go on to do that.
Yeah. I think they said we could take up to 8 people to that, so that seemed like a pretty nice opportunity.
Yeah. You're going to have like 5,000 people ask you to go on it.
I'm sure that's the case.
Anyway, so back to New Riff, they wanted to kind of mass produce themselves and be a great barrel picking source for a lot of stores. They wanted to show the uniqueness of their barrels. They wanted to show what they were doing. And so today we have 4 barrels that were bought by a local store. And the way it works is you kind of show up there. They'll give you a large piece of paper. It's got about 12 to 14 barrels on there. They give you all the tasting notes. From there, your group of 8 totally sober individuals will pick from that group of barrels on what you all want to try. And it's definitely a trial and error process. You all pick the barrels. They blind taste test them. They blind sample them for you 3 different times to make sure you all like the right barrel. And you go and pick it from there. They give you lunch, and it's a cool day. It's a real neat experience. And we just a few minutes ago, just within the room of us, we decided that out of these 4, we all didn't. Well, 2 of us picked the same one, but one of us liked a different one, and that's kind of what happens whenever you go there. Imagine tripling the size trying to pick out a barrel for a store. That's $7,000 to $8,000 you're trying to invest in your store to pick for your future, and you have to pick the right one.
Absolutely. And ironically, you and Toby actually picked the same barrel, and then I picked one of the other barrels, which was your second favorite, and I think Toby's third favorite. So it's one of those neat things that I guess in a concise error, and actually the one you all picked that you liked the best was my second favorite. Right. So in that situation, your all's barrel pick would have probably been picked because you had two people that had voted number one, and I voted number two. So that makes sense. And I tell you, it's really neat when you try those samples because you get so many different notes and hints. And, by looking at the labels that you brought over, I mean, we got one that was done on like 10/5 of 2015. One was 10/6 of 2015. One was 10/31 of 2015, and then the other one was a 10/2 of 2015. So they're all 4-year bourbons. They're all pretty, standard as far as, a similar mash bill. But, I mean, the flavors were, totally different, which is crazy when you start to think about the differences in bourbon and where they sit at in the rick house and, something that might be, just a couple of, feet over. It might be, 10 or 15 feet over to the left. And honestly, it's going to get a completely different flavor than another one that might be, just right around the corner.
Yeah. I mean, so and to your point, I mean, we have two barrels that were picked, 5849, 5864. There's not a lot of gap in between those two. They're going to be on the same, they're on the same level. They're on the same rick house. It's on the same sheet, but you picked one of them as your favorite and one of them as your least favorite.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
And they're both if you look in the distillery, they're both on the same line. They were both barreled a day apart from each other. So 24 hours apart, call it 15 barrels apart from each other in the same exact rick house, through the same exact seasons, temperature changes, everything, and one was your favorite and one was your least favorite, and that's what they wanted to show with their whole process.
That's crazy. It's really amazing when you look at that type of stuff. So I've been amazed by new Riff since they came out, like me and Toby have talked about in previous episodes, and I feel like the people that are picking these things and naming them, like the Riff Flair and the Ken Riffy Jr. and things like that, they've got some of the best names I've seen out there, and I know that has to do with the bourbon clubs that's choosing those and things to that nature, but it really is just, it's really a cool experience. And, that's something that I have been looking forward to doing and things to that nature. Yeah. So what do you think about the honey barrel pick from the hounds that picked up there?
Yeah, so definitely, it was my first sample of it. And as you and I both agreed, it is way better neat than it is on the rocks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like it. Kind of your nice typical double oaked flavor, those dark kind of flavors up front. I mean, overall, solid drinker.
Yeah, I thought it was a little sweeter than I was expecting from a double oak. But it had some great flavor and some nice undertones, and you get a really, really nice caramel, almost even like a chocolatey on the front side, and then it kind of finishes off really nice and strong. So I really do wish, though, that Woodford or Old Forester would allow their stuff to come out at barrel strength rather than taking them down to the 90 proof.
You tried at barrel strength, but
yeah, absolutely,
you can't keep it at barrel strength.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting. You bring up those kind of darker, let's call them caramel notes, those dessert flavors, as I like to call them, and that actually goes to our later segment of pairing well with a cigar. And forgive me if I jump around a little bit.
No, you're cool. We can go to the cigar pairings if you want to do that now.
Well, just it's a nice little smooth transition. So, we just had a question asked for one of our followers: is how many barrels typically come in from how many bottles come in from a barrel? How many barrels come in? That doesn't make sense. That's gonna be my favorite answer in the world of it depends, and it depends is gonna be
if it's watered down. So if it's not coming full cut, or if it's coming uncut, you're gonna get less bottles than if you're actually cutting it with a little bit of water. True?
Yeah, 100% true, because those. Let's say you cut something down, it goes in the barrel. You taste it at, we'll call it 120 proof, 125 proof. Well, you're bottling it at 93 proof, so you're adding in that much water to proof it down, which will in turn give you more yield. So, Weller, for example, you have a Weller have a Weller Special Reserve, you're going to get 250, somewhere in that range from a Weller Special Reserve. It's 90 proof, right?
Right.
Whereas you have a Weller Full Proof, you're going to get $140 to about $160 out of it. You got that coming in at 114 proof. Even still, that's a controlled proof.
Yeah, because I got to believe that that's coming in probably above 120 in its actual full proof status.
I've got some hazmat, what is deemed to be hazmat, which is anything over 140 proof. You can't fly with it is really what that means. But
Bacardi 151.
You can't fly with that. I guess you could.
What is the proof that it sets fire? Is it 150 or 151? Is that it actually sets fire without actual aeration?
I don't know. I kind of want to test it, but I feel like he'd get mad at us if we did that in here.
I don't think we have anything that hot, to be completely honest, in here at this point. But maybe that's for a later show. We can try that.
Fair enough. Outside show. But yeah, so something like this, something like this double oaked, maybe they'll get 180. Maybe it was a little bit of a leaky barrel. Sometimes when those barrels age, the wood's not perfect. It's man-made. Nothing's perfect. There might be leaks. There might be a little crack in there. You might have had a hotter summer. You might have had a colder winter. You never know what'll change that yield that comes out of the barrel. And the cool thing is when you go try them, you get to pick up the barrel and see what's in there and see how much is left. And typically those funkier barrels with stains on the outside, with all of that kind of molasses looking like
the seepage,
character. That's the barrel that's gonna taste the most unique. And in today's day and age, you have to go off profile in order to make your barrel stand out. Like no one wants a barrel pick and be like, oh my God, this totally tastes like every other double oaked I've ever had in my life. Like, no, you're gonna drink that and be like, I know the guys that picked this. They did a great job.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of that uniqueness that the barrel program brings, which is also what pairs it well with a cigar. So I am a big fan of smoking a cigar with a bourbon. My back patio tends to agree with me on that.
So what's your favorite cigar? And then B,
I don't sell them here in the United States.
Okay, so the legal version, what is your favorite cigar and what's your favorite bourbon to go with it?
So lately I've been on a cigar kick in the Maduro family, which is like a really dark leaf cigar, and they're the Linga Privada number 9s. You can typically get them at any kind of basic liquor store. They're nothing too crazy, but they do
$6-8 a stick. Where do you run at?
Probably a little bit higher, maybe about $9 to $11 a stick.
Okay, so still reasonably priced for
not
a
too
good cigar.
Crazy, not too crazy. But they pair well with these kind of desserty noted bourbons, like the double oaked, my Old Forester 1910, fan favorite right here. And even that first new Riff pick that we tasted, that was
absolutely had a lot of toffee like undertones to it.
Yeah, your toffee, your cinnamon flavors, those pair well. And something that's a little cool you can do is you cut your cigar, and what you can do is you dip the end of it in the bourbon and kind of let that soak a little bit, maybe about 10 minutes. And then you can actually smoke it, and then you get that bourbon flavor mixed with the cigar leaf flavor, and it kind of brings out a different note to it, per se, kind of like when you eat bourbon with chocolate, how it brings out other notes to it. Just a different way to kind of taste it and see what it does.
So now that you mentioned that, like we went on the Old Forester tour together just a few weeks ago. That Majeska that they make there, I guess at Muse, and then you bring it in and they do it. Yeah, I was amazed at how much different the 1897 and the 1920 tasted with it. You could really, really grasp a way different flavor by adding that chocolate undertone with it.
It's crazy.
So, okay, so you talked about the one cigar there. Now, is there any other ones that you really, 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 really like? And what's a good solid bourbon?
So there is, there's people are gonna judge me for this, but there's the Davidoff cigars are are always, people are like, oh, well, you're just paying for a name on something. I actually do enjoy smoking those. And those kind of really go well with some of the lighter bourbons. So something that's kind of a heavier wheat bourbon. So like, what's your favorite wheated bourbon?
I mean, it's really hard to say. I mean, I really enjoy, your Antique 107 as far as a daily drinker type thing.
Yeah. So we'll stop there. I mean, even that's right on the head. You pair those two together. My God, what a fantastic conversation. What a fantastic blend those two make together. And it's just that's a great pairing, those two. Any kind of light mid-body cigar, in my opinion, with a nice little wheated bourbon like your 107. People don't like it that hot. You can go Special Reserve, whatever. I'm not going to tell you what.
Or Weller 12. I mean, there's a lot of other things that aren't necessarily as hot as the 107.
Yeah, what's funny is the Weller 12 doesn't go great with the mid-body cigars as well as I'd like it to. Kind of because you lose a little bit of complexity with it when you have all that smoke in your mouth. Your palate's kind of a little torched at that point. So it's what can pair well on the front end. So
what about like Elmer T? Would that be a good mix?
Yeah, probably about 15 years ago when I told you could get it pretty regularly. I mean, yeah, that's all in the same. That's all in the same wheated family. I mean, you have your Elmer, your Blantons, your Weller, all of those will kind of go well together with your nice mid body cigars, and then you can go to any cigar shop and ask them for a nice little mid body, and they'll kind of point you in the right direction. So you can't go wrong there.
So me, I'm not a very big, cigar aficionado.
Sure.
I mean, I smoke the occasional, and correct me if I'm speaking it incorrectly, like the Padrones or
no, that's good,
or acids or different things like that. But listen,
don't go there.
It's not. It's not that like I said, I don't smoke a lot of cigars. But
yeah.
It's what somebody hands me. I was telling Toby a couple of weeks ago that the guys that run Crossfire. Like I've had a couple of their cigars, and I've really enjoyed those.
Yeah.
So it's I guess I probably like a little bit on the sweeter side of cigars, but like for me, like I always found the Padrones, and I would typically drink those with something kind of more on the rye side, because I felt like they paired up well for me. Like, and I don't typically drink ryes, but when I do smoke a Padrone, like with my Uncle Kevin or something like that, we would do that, and then we would typically have some kind of a rye to go with it.
Yeah, so people, that you bring up a valid point that some people like a little spice with their cigar, and that's not what I like to do. I'm not a huge rye fan. I like that wheated taste with it, but your Padrones, some of your Rocky Patels, not like the 99 Patels, but some of your kind of past mid body, like your fuller body cigars, those go well. Excuse me. With the ryes. So your mid bodies are kind of a wheater, your full bodies are kind of a rye, and then your Maduros or your even double Maduros. I mean, good luck getting through a full one of those some days, but those are good with your almost twice barreled stuff, such as the 1910.
Now, you rolled your eyes at me a little bit whenever I said, some of the things we were going to talk about, and one of them being the BTAC collection. And I know that, but we try to stay somewhat relevant to what's going on in the world right now of bourbon.
Gotcha.
And there's really nothing more hot than the BTAC collection at this point, because Pappy's not coming out for like another 2 weeks from what we've heard.
Give or take.
So have you tried any of the 2019 stuff?
It used to be election day.
Right.
Like today used to be the day.
Well, yeah, absolutely. What a better way to get a couple of extra votes than throwing out a couple of Pappy 15s and Pappy 20s, right? So so have you had a chance to drink any of the 2019 BTAC collection?
I've had the full flight of it.
You've actually had the full flight.
Yeah, what? Minus the Sazerac 18. I haven't had that.
So you actually had the Eagle Rare 17.
I have.
Hot damn. So most people are not going to touch that bottle from what I've heard. Now, this is just rumor and speculation from what I've heard, is that there's only about 2,700 bottles of the Eagle Rare 17.
I don't know the exact number, but I know there's not a whole lot of them. My theory is this wasn't made to be looked at in a bottle.
No, absolutely. It's
made
made
to
to be
drink
drink. Absolutely. So of the bottles that you have tried, what was your favorite this year, and what was your least favorite?
Is D all of the above an answer?
I mean, you can say, oh, absolutely, they were all great, but honestly, there had to be one that kind of stuck out. Like,
no,
man,
I meant the latter of the two.
Oh, the latter of the two.
Yeah,
so you weren't as crazy about them this year as what you were last year.
It's funny. People ask me like, "Oh, what'd you like? What'd you like?" And I'm like, "Well, I kind of like last year's better." We all thought the lower proof Stag, the GTS this year was gonna be better, a nice little flavor bomb, but it was a little disappointing. The William LaRue Weller, the past 2 years of that haven't been my favorite. They haven't done it for me.
So some people have told me the 2015 and the 2016 were the two best years of the WLW they'd had.
Yeah, well, yeah, the 2014 too. You can't leave that one out.
Okay.
And 2007 is always going to be phenomenal.
So I've not had any of the 7 or the 14.
Oh my God.
But I did have a sip of the 16 a couple of years back. So
if you ever get fortunate enough to try a flight of the 2007 antique collection, you'll wish you never drank it because it'll ruin you for everything else you drink.
So it's kind of the flag,
oh my God.
The flagship, the holy grail of the BTAC collection was 07.
In my opinion, yeah. I mean, bourbon's all opinion related.
Absolutely.
It's 1,000% opinion related. It's whose opinion do we like. But I always tell you, just go try it. Don't listen to other people's opinions.
Right.
Go try it all and make your own opinion for yourself. That's the best thing you can do.
Absolutely.
But this year's, so if you get people's opinions, and trust me, no one's afraid to give you their opinion.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Matter of fact, I had somebody say, I saw it on one of the Facebook pages or the groups today. They were talking about how the Baker's 13 was the best bottle they've had all year.
See, and I didn't like that. It's too minty. It's got like an upfront mint flavor to it. And to me, I'm just turned off by that.
Right. I tell you, a bottle that I was actually surprised that I liked as much as I did was the Cornerstone by Wild Turkey this year. I thought
10-year-old Cornerstone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was way more impressed with that bottle than I thought I would be.
Yeah.
Because I guess as somebody that's newer to the bourbon game, as far as like trying to understand it and grasp it, Wild Turkey was always like, that was like what my dad drank. Like, who drinks Wild Turkey? I mean, my mom used to pour that shit on the roses, so
that's awesome.
The old farm myth was it helped your roses grow faster if you fed it a little bourbon. So my mom would literally take my dad's Wild Turkey and pour it on the rose bushes.
Fine, it'll be fine. But I mean, you get some of those Wild Turkeys. If you get a store pick of a Kentucky Spirit Wild Turkey, 101 proof, that's really not bad. That's really not bad at all.
Yeah.
I mean, people say that rare breed, the Wild Turkey rare breed, barrel proof, 114, 115, 16. It's not bad either. It's they've definitely tried to make another name for themselves other than the 101.
So one of my buddies, Josh, he's going to be on here in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
He's a huge turkey fan. He's a turkey head and a half. And then I see another guy that's on the LBH that he's a big, his name's Ben, and we were talking about a couple of different things, and he's a big turkey guy. So
sure.
It's really, really nice to get people that have those different flavors, and this is what I really like, and this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And things like that. Now, the one thing I told Toby, man, I said you kind of ruined me on Michter's recently because you've been introducing me to more and more of that stuff, and we had a really, really good time going over there and sitting down and drinking a couple of drinks. But man, I tell you, I cannot wait till they come out with the Michter's toasted barrel bourbon again. I don't know if it's going to be 2020 or 2021, but I've already polished off one bottle on my own, and then I've got one more 2018 bottle that I
drank one on the golf course too.
Yeah, we did drink one whole bottle of bourbon on a golf course.
Oh my God, it was the best.
I think there was 4 of us, and we polished off an entire bottle of that, and then I'm going to say probably 3/4 of a bottle of Rock Hill Farms we polished off that day.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So
rightfully so.
We had a really good round of golf for the first 8 or 9 holes. So after that, it went a little downhill. So
but not to finish your question real quick on the BTAC collection. I know we like to get sidetracked when we drink, but this year's just whole collection in general, just not as good as it was led up to be. It's disappointing, and I can't believe I said that out on a recorded line, but
It's okay. Listen, like you said, everything is a preference. And I think it's okay for, not to necessarily have.
And I don't, and the real question is going to be why? Why is this year so disappointing? Well, probably because I had all the other years prior to it, and it was just good. But you would think you have a 15-year-old 6-month George T. Stagg, 116 proof, going to have a lot of flavor to it. Maybe they added too much water. Maybe they just picked a bad couple batches. I don't know.
It says it's uncut, unfiltered, so they obviously that's the way it came out of the barrel. So
I mean, you can't. Okay, sure, it came out of the barrel at that, but you're not going to have 40,000 bottles of George T. Stagg to come out of the exact same proof.
Well, no, absolutely not. So
what do you do? What do you do to mix that?
Well, you have to blend it, right?
Right.
So you take all those barrels and you blend it together, and that's
Right.
what your proof is. That's your average proof.
Okay, is it your average proof, or do you cut it a little bit? We don't know.
Yeah. Well, if it says uncut, unfiltered,
Fair.
I have to presume that Buffalo Trace has enough integrity in Sazerac that they're not mixing it with water.
They would never do that. But just when you look at it, it's maybe some barrels were great and some barrels weren't great, and they tried to push too much of it out. Maybe they should have held some of it back in order to keep quality up. Quantity over quality. Who knows what they were thinking at the time? The age statement's good. The proof looked good. But when people see the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, you're right, they see uncut, unfiltered, high proof, high age, good, once in a lifetime bourbon.
Absolutely.
And rye.
And like what I told you, and we spoke about it in our episode number 2 when we were talking about the BTAC collection. I've tried the last few years of the George T. Stagg, and to me, the 2018 is still the best that I've tried from like 2015 till now. I've not had the 2019
I gotta let you try the 2014. I got that at my house too. I meant to bring that for you.
Okay. So evidently 2014 must have been a good year for bourbon, because the Michter's
bourbon.
Toasted Bourbon
It's a great year for
2014,
bourbon.
great year.
Great weather condition.
So evidently there's some super good weather conditions that led into a 2014 bourbon.
But on a side note, you think your Saz 18,
yeah,
that's 90 proof.
Right.
That's cut.
Well, absolutely.
Eagle Rare 17.
But it doesn't say uncut, unfultered.
I don't read the label.
I just drink it.
I just drink it.
What's on the label?
Yeah. Oh, there's words. Eagle Rare 17.
It's cut. Yep. It's absolutely 101.
Yeah.
So, kind of to feed into that, obviously with Pappy season coming right around the corner, is there a certain Pappy that you're just dying to try out of this year's Rick House and this year's blend?
So, yes and no. So I'm always a fan of the 15-year-old Pappy.
So to me, 15's the best. Like, it's better than the 20, better than the 23.
15's the best. Before we get too lost into this topic, I want to go back real quick. I mentioned 14 was a good year for weather.
Right.
There's no real science that says hotter summers are going to lead to better better bourbon, or colder winters are going to lead to better bourbon. The whole reason between your summer and your winter reactions and why Kentucky is such a fantastic state for it is because we do actually have all 4 seasons, whereas I used to live in Arizona where it was hot, not as hot as the next day, and not as hot as the day before.
And really damn hot the next day.
And really damn hot the next day. That was really it. You can't make bourbon there because there's no aging. You have to put it in a temperature controlled environment, which totally
defeats the purpose, right?
Yeah, you want Mother Nature to take control of these barrels. You want the seasons to change so the wood expands and contracts, and you want those pores of the wood to be infused with the grains of the alcohol and the char in order to get those flavors. So when you make bourbon, it's moonshine. You separate it. You put it in new American oak and you char it. Now that's where everyone differs. Some people put a high level 4 char. Some people are level 3 char. Some people do toasted. Some people, I don't know, they blow on it in a certain way. They kick it. I don't know. Like whatever their grandmother's recipe is for it, it's a combination of that plus your changes of weather, which really help expand and contract that bourbon. When you open up a bourbon barrel and you look at the bunghole, yeah, that's right, the bunghole.
You know, that's going to be our tagline as we enter into later into the year. We're going to start calling, you know, Bourbon Barrel Talk Inside the Bunghole.
Actually, that's fantastic. But on a serious note, when you look inside that bunghole, you pay a lot of money, but you can see how far deep that bourbon has seeped through
The wood, absolutely.
and that's how you can tell, man, this has gone through a good aging process. And just you can only go by looking and tasting, and sometimes that messy, sappy, oh my God, this seeped through the entire bunghole. I don't even try it. Just give me a straw and I'll just drink it from there.
Absolutely.
That's kind of that's what people look for when they buy single barrels nowadays. Is you have those. Is there not a lot of it? Is there a lot? How far did this go through? How old is it? What's the proof on there? Sometimes a higher proof, you're not going to get as much flavors up front as a lower proof. A lower proof is going to have your more kind of darker caramelized bomb notes, as I like to call them. And I don't know. That's just the way it goes. And eventually, you just get too drunk at these things, and everything sounds great. So,
all right, good.
But
deal.
yeah, so your Pappy now. Now I had a unique experience there at Buffalo Trace one time, but I don't know if they'll allow me to share that information. So we'll table that for another discussion.
Maybe that's a private conversation later on. We don't want to give away all the secrets.
No. But no, there are secrets that go on there. But I'll tell you what, the 15 is my favorite, and a little story behind why it's my favorite is so I've known Julian for a little while now, and a long time ago he used to do private barrel selects of his 15-year-old, but he would never really. I'm assuming he did some 23 and 20-year-old private barrel selects, but a lot of them were 15. There used to be a 14. The 13's the rye, the 12's the lot B, and the 10 is the old rip. But I have a bottle. I was fortunate enough, he gave me a bottle of single barrel 15 from 2017.
Huh.
Now, if anyone is listening to this, they're going to be like, this guy is freaking nuts. All right? There's no such thing as a single barrel Pappy 15. But I promise you, it's at my house, and it was the most fantastic thing I've ever drank in my life. And I will continue to always love the 15.
So what you're saying is, the next time I'm at your house, you're gonna crack the bottle open and just give me a little taste of it.
I don't know. Do I owe you something?
No, I probably.
I'm not gonna.
I owe you way more than you owe me. You know.
If you show up with a baseball bat, maybe I'll let you try it. But
I do know where you live.
Understood. But I've been a fan. Something inside of me just really likes the 107 Buffalo Trace products. What can I say?
Absolutely.
So 15-year-old Pappy, 107 proof, 15 years old.
Yeah.
Phenomenal stuff.
Nope, absolutely. So, hey, before we finish up, you know, the thing that, you know,
the answer is no. I like you can't have any.
No. So, favorite drunk story. So what's the funniest or the dumbest thing you've ever done while being drunk?
I can't say.
Absolutely, you can say.
I can't say it.
Oh, come on.
I can't say it.
You can't say it.
All right. So not the dumbest thing I've ever done, but
how about the funniest?
The funniest. What was it? The funniest thing we ever did is we were in Nashville and we stole a street cone, and this is before I was married, and we would just go up and down the streets of Nashville and be like, hey, will you sign my cone with your phone number? I promise we won't call you later. And we took it in our Uber back to our hotel, and we all woke up in the morning with this giant cone in the
this
middle.
was really recent. I mean, you're talking about the Uber.
Well, it's not that recent.
I mean, Uber's what, like 5 years old?
Maybe. Okay. All right.
So it's been pretty
Uber,
recent.
cab, whatever. I wasn't married for 3 years. Cut me some slack, man. But that was pretty funny. But some of the drunk stories happen at the distilleries, and some cool things happen after that.
So my favorite drunk story and one of the most funny ones is, and Toby was actually involved with it, so I'm going to bring it up and kind of embarrass him. So one night we get completely smashed, and I don't remember where it was at or what happened, but we basically somehow make it back to my house, and I still don't know to this day how we got back. I don't remember if Toby drove, or I think actually Toby did drive. But anyway, we get back, and I'm like, dude, you can't drive home. He's like, I'm freaking fine, dude. And he can't walk a straight line. I can't walk a straight line. So we get him inside the house, and he lays it. He passes out in my chair or on the couch or whatever, and I go back to the bedroom, and my wife's like, oh, my God, you reek of the smell of tequila and bourbon. You've got to get on your own side of the bed. I'm like, okay. I said, but Toby's passed out in the other room, but don't worry, baby, because I've got his keys. They're on my belly. They're safe. So I literally passed out drunk in my bed with Toby's car keys on my stomach. And still to this day, my wife will not let me live that down, because she's like, you came in, you were so proud of yourself, like you saved Toby's life because his keys were on your belly.
That's fantastic.
So, well, hey, thanks for coming out.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And having episode 3 of Bourbon Barrel Talk. And we're really glad you could join us. And, if anybody's got any questions, comments, or anything like that, you can follow us on our Facebook page, or you can email us at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to check in for the next listen. I think we're going to start doing something every month where we're going to give away a bottle of bourbon. So listen to the episodes.
I'm going to listen to the episode for that.
Absolutely. I think the first one, Toby said we're going to give away a bottle of Weller Special Reserve.
No, he said Pappy 23. He didn't say Special Reserve, right?
I'm pretty sure he said
I
Weller
don't remember.
Special
Hey,
Reserve.
listen, I'm just saying.
Disclaimer, it is Weller Special Reserve. Pappy 23. You're out of your damn mind.
What? Just right on.
So,
Weller
anyway,
23. All right, same thing.
You can email us, or you can check us out on Facebook and leave a message. And we really appreciate Matt for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hopefully you come out for another episode here in the next few weeks, and we'll go over some more stuff and talk about all the things that are going on right before Christmas or right around that time.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Thanks for signing out from Bourbon Barrel Talk. This is Scott Minton and Matt Jasnoff. We'll see you on the next time.
See ya.